lastly, this is Elastic, a track I made in December, just before Christmas, and yeah, I tried to make use of a few different features with this one. Notably summon stack, organizational, arrangement. I've started trying to get to the grips of different elements, that make it easier to produce a song, like orderly. You can't be all over the place, especially as a producer. So yeah, let's begin. Start with this ballad E piano on ES2. Honestly, I didn't tamper with this at all. Yeah, this is one day, but it's complicated stuff. So I've let that be. But instead I've kind of added some chains over it. So let's begin with Beat Break. It's an amazing tool. Been making use of it recently, mostly thanks to Jack. So I'll scroll through, find find one that fits and works. And yeah, this one just happened to sound quite break beaty, which was nice. Breaker beat breaker, yeah. Anyway, slap the channel EQ. I wanted to get rid of that low end, give space for the bass. Got rid of a bit of the high, mid-high, like high frequencies here. I'm guessing because it probably clashed a bit. I just wanted to make it a bit more of a mellow sound. Quite often, instead of doing this, I'll raise the 200 to the kind of 1,000 range or 2,000 range, ever so slightly, or do this instead, and it brings out the lower frequencies and kind of detracts the higher ones, which is nice. Yeah, wax and space designer on there as well. Remove some dry and use quite a bit of wet to give it a bit more of a spacey feel than some of the other tracks that I've kind of gone through in this series of videos. Lastly, a compressor, sidechain compressor as always, which it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Okay, well that's interesting. Sidechain to audio 1. Oh no, it is. It's sidechain to the kick. Okay, so yeah. Staying on the instrumental for now. Added a soft glider. Mostly messed with this. I've cut the highs, boosted some frequencies that are still being heard. The attack's very low, but the filter isn't quite at 0, so it gives some time for the filter to come in. I don't know what I'm talking about. Tremolo as well. I'm a big fan of mono tremolos. I know they're mostly used for left-right tremolos. I haven't quite got into the sphere of stereo mixing yet, so I don't really use it for that, but the mono tremolo is a lifesaver, so I'll set it to mono. I'll set the depth however I wanted it. Here I thought 100% would be appropriate, so it kind of just blips on and off at a rate of a 16th note. So yeah, I've got that tremolo on there, and lastly, space designer as well. Pretty high for this one as well. Lastly, the bass. Nothing too complicated. These are mostly presets that come with the sound itself, except for my channel EQ, of course, where I've ducked out all these high frequencies. I guess giving it less of a live sound and more of like a computer kind of, like this is a bass sound. Different songs require different kind of frequencies for bass, obviously, but for this one I thought it works. Nothing too complicated. Yeah, try to keep it all simple. I think the instrumental was quite nice, so I would have laid it all out in 129 bars, geez, and then start cutting it out along with the drums. So lastly here we have the drums. Once again, they're all very similar kits, if not the same kit, minus this. And yeah, I've just gone through. I've tried to develop my drum loops, not drum loops, but my drum patterns. You know, drums are very important to a track. I think if I went to a lot of my old tracks from maybe 6 months, a year ago, and just put better drums in it, they probably sound a whole lot better. You know, not just the sounds of the drums, but the patterns of the drums obviously are super important. So yeah, just learning how to fill the negative space properly, and then kind of align that with the beat in a way that it doesn't completely do its own thing. You know, you kind of want it to be doing its own thing, but you also want it to be going along with the instrumental, so it doesn't clash, you know. So yeah, all the standard stuff on here, you know, they're not on the actual channels themselves. Kick, once again, like the bass has been high cut. Same with this brush, but mostly on the summing stack, which I've put them all in, so I can edit them all at once, you know, and kind of also compress them together, which is really handy and useful. You know, there's many ways you can do that, but summing stack is just the way I choose to do it. It's easiest for me. Yeah, so I'll back to compressor on here. Pretty major compression as well, jeez. Okay, well, I mean, if that's what I wanted, that's what I wanted. And Space Designer, which is really low and before the compressor for some reason, but if it works, it works, and I think it kind of works. Yeah, lastly, I have these sound noises. You know, I've been experimenting with Foley. Is that what you call it? Like Foley sound, and kind of like not field recordings myself yet. You know, I want to do that when I move on, but more so just finding clips online that kind of sit in the background of songs and add like ambiance, I guess. So just birds chirping and stuff, but you know, even if it's not immediately obvious to the listener, just having that kind of laying in the background and maybe peeking through every now and then, I feel like it definitely adds some level of atmosphere to the song, even if it's like a subconscious atmosphere, which is nice. Yeah, once again with this track, I haven't so much deleted sections that I'm not using, but Control M to individually mute audio clips, which means I can easily just turn them on or off again. Yeah, frankly, that's the whole thing. That's about it. Yeah, it's elastic.